Okay, welcome to another edition of Carnivore Bites. I'm your host, Jeff Sherman, along with Dr. Eric Lopkin. And there's really two powerful stories this week, and quite powerful, actually. Dr. Lopkin, I'd like your opinion, first of all, on the Jeff Epstein case.
Yeah, saying that the Jeffrey Epstein case is hinky is putting it mildly. I'm not ready to jump into bed with the conspiracy theorists that have the Clintons killing him off, but something needs to be investigated because he was not checked when he was supposed to be. He was alone in his cell. He was supposed to have a roommate. One of the correction officers.
It's too many coincidences.
Yeah.
Too many people that he was going to drop the hammer on.
Yes.
Without any, drop the hammer. He's 66 years old. He's looking at, even if you're looking at 20 years in jail, you're looking at a death sentence. He was looking at 45, I believe. Of course he's going to sing like a canary. Hello?
Oh, of course. And that's what was expected. They had so much evidence against him. And now they've raided his private island. So they've got more evidence against him. Fortunately, they're not letting the investigation go. They're going to go after his co-conspirators. Now, is it likely that something is going to come back to haunt the Clintons? Bill Clinton went to his private island 26 times.
Okay, let me just say, hold on. Okay, Dr. Eric Lopkin, one of the smartest people I know. You go to a pedophile island, 20 times. What do you think you're doing there?
Yeah, that's my point.
It's not
exactly.
It's not Disneyland. It's not
right.
Disneyland.
He was not going to this island for the beaches and the sunsets.
No, he has many powerful people that he can go to Morocco. He can go to anywhere in the world that has great beaches. He didn't have to go to Jeff Epstein's place. I'm sure it's a nice beach. But, I find that the Clintons are pretty powerful. And the other thing I think, what your comment on, I'm not so sure if Epstein lived, it would kind of exonerate Trump, because I don't think Trump had anything to do with the pedophilia nonsense. But it keeps that conspiracy going, him dead.
That's an interesting point. Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein, threw him out of Mar-a-Lago back in 2011, and as far as anybody can tell, has had no contact with him since then. So the fact that Jeffrey Epstein went to Trump's country club isn't exactly a smoking gun. But
the media is making it the smoking gun. They're not even talking about Bill Clinton's 20-something junkets down there.
No, because we don't have an unbiased media. We have a group of people who are in the Democrats' pockets, in Clinton's camp, and they want this story to be about Trump somehow.
Somehow, some way, Trump, I'm sure had nothing to do with it. He has one stupid quote that Jeff Epstein and I like women, and he likes them on the young side. He wasn't president, kind of stupid, but whatever. I think it's an interesting concept. I think if he lived, I think there would be many, mostly Democrats. How does that sound? That would be screwed.
Yeah, his associates were primarily Democratic. And, they made the whole Epstein case about the head of environmental services, I think. But
they fired him. Yes.
Yeah, the former AG of Florida. The fact of the matter is, he was the only guy that got jail time for Epstein. He was called in by the Florida authorities because they thought the Florida DA was going to cut a deal with him. And somehow the fact that he only served 13 months was his fault.
Yeah, that was totally off the hook.
Yeah, no, they're determined to try to tie Trump and the Trump administration into this. And the more they try, the more the threads break because there's just nothing there.
Well, speaking of something that really is there, the economy. I think if the economy, let's say, continued to do well, I find it hard to believe that Trump is going to be, let's say, unseated. There's a lot of talk now of recession. I think that's a big problem. If you do the history, most presidents get reelected. In fact, like the preponderance of them, there's like very few instances when they don't, if the economy is doing well or okay. When the economy does not do well, George H. Bush, President Ford, the list goes on. Not so much of a happy time. So, first of all, your assessment. Weeks ago, you thought there was no chance of a recession. Now, what do you think?
Well, remember, I said I think there's no chance of a recession before the election. I still stand.
That's what.
Right. I still stand by that because what the part of the story that's not being told right now is today's panic on Wall Street is because the bond rate inverted.
Yes, it inverted before too.
It's inverted before, but this is a classic indicator that there is a recession on the horizon. However,
yes, but wait a second. But you do remember that it inverted, I don't know, 5 months ago too.
Right.
It did.
It inverted for about a day and a half.
Okay.
For the bond rate to actually be an indicator, it has to stay inverted, which it hasn't done yet. Assuming that it does this time stay inverted, history tells us that in general, a recession follows the inversion by 18 to 24 months.
Okay.
So we're still talking about the possibility of a recession. We're less than 18 months away from the election. So if that recession hits, and if this indicator says, yes, we are going to have that recession, it's not going to hit until 2021.
Well, it's interesting. I respectfully disagree with his pinning China. I think it was a dumb move because without the tariff scenario, the economy was smooth sailing till the election. I think he miscalculated.
And that's the.
I don't think China is doing jack. You know what? If you're China, why would you ever say, "Gee, let's make a deal"? There's no way you're making a deal.
Well, I don't think you'd never make a deal because the fact of the matter is the tariffs have crippled the Chinese economy. It's dropped 3% so far just because of the tariffs. But what you said about the tariffs is also another reason why I don't think there's going to be a recession before the election. If it looks like we're going to go into a recession, one, we still haven't really lowered interest rates. So that's going to hold things off. What people are really worried about is Europe and South America because Mexico, Brazil, England, Italy, and Germany are all on the cusp of recession. In fact, Germany already reported negative GDP, but their central banks have already lowered as far as they can go. They're in negative interest rates in some cases. So we still have the interest rates that can be lowered to forestall.
Do you think it can hold it off for a while?
Right.
But let me ask you another question.
And Trump can back off on the tariffs, which would boost it also. So I think if it really starts looking like there's a recession before the election, they're going to make sure to take these factors into consideration and jumpstart it again so that it's put off till after the election.
Okay, you would hope so. The only problem I have, Dr. Lopkin, is how about hiring? Now, if you're a company, you said you knew people that were older that were getting jobs and other people that were never worked, whatever. If you're a company now, I'm not so sure you're going to be all jacked up about hiring too many people. I think you're going to put the brakes on that a little.
Well, we'll have to see what happens when the new jobs reports come in. But as of the last jobs report, we still have more open positions than we have people to fill them. So even if they slow down, you're going to start by not filling those positions. So it's going to take a little while before layoffs start. The other thing to keep in mind is when the bond inversion does happen, in the 12 months following that inversion, before the recession hits, the markets tend to rebound strongly.
Okay, we'll see. Now, on a more lighter note, Chris Cuomo, buffoon of the year, or what? I mean, I've seen him a couple times on his show. The guy, if he wasn't a Cuomo, he would be welcome to Walmart.
Yeah, he's not the brightest bulb in the box.
He's really not too bright at all. He's got this macho thing. I've seen that before, like about he's doing push-ups and he's going like, not bad for 60 years. It's like, okay, dude, just chill, okay? Chill. So, kind of interesting.
He's tripping over his own words now. And I mean, let's face it, he's not the only one. Every time Biden opens his mouth, it's another.
Let's end with that. I'm not so sure Biden is going to be around in another 2 months. He's making gaps that are just like, whoa, like not like his usual dummy self. I mean, it's like troubling.
Yeah, I mean, there have actually been people that I know in the Democratic Party who are starting to question whether or not his memory is even intact, or if there's underlying health problems that he is not fit to be president.
I think that's good, and we'll see how it all unfolds. I guess I want to end with one thing. Your latest prediction, Dr. Lopkin, on the odds of a Trump presidential victory.
The odds are still in his favor. I would say 65-35 at this point.
I would agree. Dr. Lopkin, another great edition of Carnivore Bites. We'll do it again.
See you next week.
You've been listening to Carnivore Bites, part of the Exvadio Podcast Network. You can catch us every week at exvadio.com/podcasts, on the iHeartRadio app, the Apple Podcasts app, the iTunes Store, Spotify, and wherever you find podcasts. You can also catch us live every Friday at 4 on WESU FM 88.1.